Do the French know something we don't? Who cares? We're all marching towards a grim and meaningless existence as AI becomes more and more prominent in our everyday lives. 5 years ago, if you wanted advice on skinning roadkill, you'd have to ask your priest. But today, you just ask ChatGPT, and in under a second, it'll have a detailed tutorial on the removal of dead raccoon skin. With that being said, let's hop back into the depressing world of Detroit Become Human. We return to Markus, who previously got his ass rocked by some jobless losers next to a bus stop. Markus will never think of bus stops the same way ever again, so what rotten luck it is that there's a bus stop directly in front of his house. And whose house is this? Well, Markus goes in and makes himself at home. Take care of Carl. It seems Markus is one of two things, a gay sex robot or an elderly caretaker. Crossing my fingers it's both. You head upstairs and there's all this art everywhere. I know art is subjective, but for whom is this plaque of deer fucking on the wall for? What kind of dumbass interior decorating is this? What if we put 6 uncolored deer heads next to the alcove on the banister that leads to nothing? You can get some good views of Markus's robo-ass though. So you go into Carl's room and he's just straight up dead. This game wants you to believe that this old rotting fuck is still kicking, but he is, without a doubt, no more than a corpse. Well, Markus opens up the curtains and resurrects Carl, who, before the curtains are even fully opened, acts as though the fucking sun just exploded. So we can put together that Carl's an artist, and that paint you struggled to buy is for some project of his. Markus takes care of him in his old age, and I guess he has to take some kind of shot every morning. While Markus stabs him, Carl makes a comment about how much effort is put into keeping human beings alive, despite how fragile they are compared to machines. It's an interesting thought to toy with, but who cares, because Carl notices that Markus's clothes are roughed up.
Hey, what happened to your clothes?
What the fuck is he talking about? Because his top button is undone? Markus says it was just some hooligans in the city. Probably because he doesn't want Carl to know that he got his android ass handed to him like a little bitch. So now we gotta bring Carl over to his wheelchair, and this is where the sexual tension really kicks in. First of all, who in God's name is sleeping in jeans? These two are staring at each other like they're the last set of eyes either of them are ever going to look at. Find you a bitch who stares at you like Carl stares at Markus. How is it we're on mission number 4 and we already know that 2 of the 3 androids in this game lust after men? We carry this stupid fucking idiot over to his closet, I think, where he puts a robe on. Then, after Carl just stares at Markus's eyes, we plop him into his chair and give him whirlies. The doctor might have prescribed you 200 milligrams of antibiotics every morning, but I've prescribed you 6 grams of fun. You know how in Linguini's Mansion, if you run in circles, you get dizzy? They should add that here, but instead of getting dizzy, Carl falls out of his chair and throws up on the floor. So we put Carl's fat, lazy ass in one of those stair escalator things and race him down to the foyer, even though Markus was late to start. He won, but it's only because he had a handicap, literally. So we wheel this wad over to the kitchen, but backwards for funsies. Oh, I spy a future TV. See, you know it's a future TV because it's designed like ass. A semi-translucent pane of future glass. David Kajili must think everyone in the future is fucking brain dead. Do we really just fall as a society? Do things just get worse and worse in quality? It's like anti-design. Who are the morons designing TVs you can see through? So we get the breakfast from the kitchen that was already made, I guess. I would imagine it's ice cold by now, but remember, we're going by future logic, which is unbelievably stupid. Carl wants to watch the news, but it's just depressing crap about Russians and the rotting hellhole that is the world we live in. Carl could not eat to save his life. I'm supposed to find something to do, so I settled on watching Carl eat. He pretends to eat an egg and then throws his fork at the plate. Then he goes quiet for a bit, picks the silverware back up, and throws it at the plate again. Then he just freezes in time. What the hell is wrong with this dude? There's some future magazines on the coffee table if you're in the mood to read some more meaningless, poorly written dog shit. Markus goes over to play the piano, and there's a few options. I wanted to set the mood for Carl, so I chose something intimate. Markus is playing like a goddamn fuck-ass, and Carl wheels over to stare. The keys aren't even lining up with the audio, let alone the right notes. This, only possible on a future piano. Carl makes a comment about how Markus sometimes seems more human than some people in the real world, so he commands that he push him over to his studio. He's got some paintings lying around, and you get a good view of them while a giant old crippled guy holding device lifts him up to his quote-unquote art. Some of his work here looks like nothing more than the vomit of someone who eats paint. They range in quality from shit to fucking shit. I have the option to clean up his studio or just watch him paint, and I swear to God the only thing he does is this one brushstroke at this specific point and then he's done. He couldn't have just done that last session? He asks Markus for his opinion on it, and I keep it real with him and tell him it looks like complete ass. Carl kinda comes to the sad conclusion that humanity is depressing and he has nothing left in him. To contrast his feelings, he has Markus pick up a brush and choose a subject. Find a subject to paint, aka choose one of 3 objects. For my subject, I chose this head over here. In under 20 seconds, Markus puts this whole thing something together, but Carl's not impressed. He wants to see Markus's interpretation of the world, not his literal perspective of it. So this time, my subject is androids, and the theme is despair because Carl is one miserable old prick. Markus closes his eyes and throws together this mess. Carl acts like he just painted the Mona Lisa, but before he can give any actual feedback, Carl's fuck-ass son waddles in, and this guy is geeking. He needs some money, even though Carl just gave him some. It's pretty clear he's all drugged out, so he decides to push Markus like an idiot and then accuses Carl of devoting his life to meaningless paintings instead of his family. And that's it. So what did we learn from this mission? We learned that Markus has some human in him, I think maybe. Carl is bringing a new perspective to the player. That being the perspective that humanity has become soulless and passionless. And nothing combats that decline more than asking your robot servant to generate you an image. Back to Connor. Last time we saw Connor, he had just successfully saved a fish while several officers were being killed trying to save a child. What could he possibly do that would top that? Well, going to the bar, of course. No androids allowed, but I guess no one's got the balls to enforce it. Connor's goal here is to find Lieutenant Anderson. Look, they even have future flags now, too. So Connor has to go around and scan all these sad mugs until he finds his guy. When you scan people, you get a little bit of info on them. And I gotta tell you, I'm not too fond of the idea of a robot being able to see my criminal history. I guess in some aspect it helps when finding people to talk to at a party. You definitely don't want to get stuck with the kid born in 2012 playing some arcade game. Either the guy with a DUI or the one with a domestic abuse charge is who you want to be talking to. They've got some interesting stories, I bet. Over by the bathrooms, Connor peeks in the men's room and there's this graffiti commenting on androids' effects on the unemployment rate. But that texture is reused twice, and if you position the camera right, you can see all three in one frame. This can only mean that it was an android who put them here. More genius visual storytelling from David Kogi, and most certainly not laziness from the environment designers. There's a 75-cent condom dispenser on the wall, and Connor's all here for it. Nothing says discreet more than the loud clinking of a quarter through a steel mechanism just outside the men's room. And what kind of brands are these? One of them is just called Beauty Sex. What the fuck kind of name is that? Well, anyway, back inside, Connor finds the lieutenant, played by none other than Clancy fucking Brown. Mr. Krabs himself is the target of Connor's gay sex fantasies. Now I know why he was looking at those condoms. He's being poured a drink from an unopened, sealed bottle. Maybe this is the bartender's way of silently cutting him off. Lieutenant Hank Anderson. He does not want shit to do with Connor, but that's only because he has yet to see his cute white ass. He's all stubborn because Connor was sent to find him because he wasn't showing up to the case he was assigned to. Clearly his lust for Connor is already blossoming. The boys play hard to get, but eventually Connor decides to treat Hank to another drink for the road and they finally head off. Off to the crime scene. Surprise, surprise, it's in a complete shithole. Hank wants Connor to wait in the car despite the police department's instructions, so naturally I get out immediately. Androids aren't allowed on the scene, but good old Hanky Wanky's got some pull with the popo. He tells Connor not to do any stupid shit while we get a rundown of the scene. Some fat Mexican got stabbed a bunch and has been rotting on his living room floor for 3 weeks, as one will. Once again, another crime caused by a deviant android. As you may recall, Connor's missions consist of investigations in which Connor must find as many details as possible to make well-informed decisions. After scanning this cracked-out cadaver, we see that the altercation began in the kitchen, and Carlos got the living shit stabbed out of his tum-tums. I don't know what Hank's doing, but it feels like less than nothing. Remember last mission when Connor tasted the blue blood for evidence, apparently? Well, he does it again here, but this time it's actual human blood. He explains it to Hank as if watching a person lick blood off the wall isn't the most putrid thing you could possibly do at a crime scene. So now it's time to look around for more evidence. Something I find suspicious are the walls. It seems as though their mass is composed of nothing but gas because this guy's head keeps phasing through it. There's some flyers lying around for some place called the Eden Club, which seems to be some kind of robot strip club, which seems kind of dope. Over in the kitchen, we gain access to the bathroom. There's these writings all over the shower. RA9. And then you look down and there's some brown thing. Connor leans down and thinks it's a religious offering when in reality it's probably just fossilized android shit. There's no mirror in this bathroom. Why is that? On the kitchen floor we see some more evidence. A dented bat. After doing some more scanning, we find out that the reason the android started stabbing the victim is because he was getting the shit beat out of him with a bat. There's some more porn on the counter, and you gotta love this. Android sex officially better. Sorry ladies, but plastic just can't be beat. Clearly it can be. Shout out to David Koji for letting us know that robot sex is indeed on its way. It was postponed about 20 years, but it finally ended up happening. 68% of men prefer sex with androids over real women. That's a lot of android love to go around. We think we know the reason. Androids don't want to talk about their feelings afterwards. That's like GTA levels of parody right there. The real reason is because androids don't divorce you, take half your stuff, and give better head. Thanks, story about the Eden Club written by the Eden Club. Is your android spying on you? Yeah, no shit it is. Is Facebook collecting your data? No, they just connect people out of the kindness of Mark Zuckerberg's cold reptilian heart. More and more experts are suggesting that CyberLife uses its 120 million androids to record details of... You know what? Who the fuck are these experts? You mean people without cognitive disabilities? You invite a living computer into your house and you think it's not collecting data? There's some blurbs suggesting that CyberLife is corrupting politics with their collusion with the president, which is a pretty interesting narrative. Too bad such a serious accusation shares the same spread as a robot sex catalog. After a bit more searching around, Connor finds all the clues and reports back to Hank. He thinks he's got it all figured out, so Hank humors him. As you conclude the events of a case, you get this live recreation of the whole thing, which is pretty cool. If you fuck up though, you get nothing but Hank's disapproval. If you mess up too much, you'll fail the mission and the case will remain unsolved. And with the decline of your morale, down goes Hank's approval of you with it. If you only make an oopsie or two though, Hank really doesn't seem to give a shit.
I think the victim attacked the android with the knife.
No, that can't be right. It doesn't fit the evidence.
With the bat.
That lines up with the evidence.
Like, you do not need to make Hank forget your fuck-ups. He's like barely conscious with reality. And after we put together our story, it's time to figure out the aftermath. After the deviant killed the fat idiot, where did he go? Well, Connor walks Hank back to the living room and tells him that he's capable of seeing an android's blue blood despite it evaporating and becoming invisible to the human eye after a few hours of sitting out. So you follow the trail of blue blood over to the hallway and suddenly the trail stops. Connor sees that a ladder was taken from against the wall, and then this is the best. He checks behind this curtain, and as the player, I guess we're supposed to get jump scared by multiple brooms falling. But if you just stop and think about it, why the fuck were there curtains blocking a wall with no window, and how did the brooms get positioned in such a manner that they were leaning against the curtains just enough so that they didn't fall over on their own? And why the fuck would the android be there anyway? So there's one more place to look, the attic. Connor grabs a chair and prepares to investigate. Hank gets whiny, so I showed him my chair. Over by the attic, it's time to find the deviant. The first thing Connor sees is this cartoonish silhouette of an android. How inconspicuous? Well, it turns out it was just the moldy mannequin the dead homeowner keeps in his attic. Ah, silly me. How could I be so naive? A little bit further in, a deviant knocks something over and runs across the room. I'm no detective, but I'll wager dollars to donuts that the deviant hiding here in the attic is also the deviant I concluded is hiding in the attic. Maybe I'm just jumping to conclusions, though. After a bit more of a trek, Connor notices a flashing red light, and wouldn't you know it, it's the deviant I expected to find hiding in the attic. Right here, hiding in the attic. He begs Connor not to announce his location, but Connor immediately barks his discovery to Hank and the others. The deviant begins to wallow, presumably knowing that his fate of being destroyed and deactivated has been sealed. Well, it's difficult to have an opinion on Connor's actions just yet. He's just following his orders and helping Hank, but why should an android be destroyed just for defending itself? Maybe it shouldn't. But if there's anything I know should be destroyed, it's that crack-smoking douchebag Todd. Kara made dinner, aka 2 plates of sad-looking spaghetti. Eating good in the hood tonight. Nothing says poverty more than the most depressing Italian dish you've ever seen preceded by smoking crack. Todd can't eat because it's too dark apparently, and maybe he should just get his fat lumpy ass up and do it himself because I have no fucking clue where the light switch is. On my journey to find it, I noticed that Todd is still watching the same 15 seconds of Planet Earth's most vague hockey game. It's the no ones versus the nobodies. This game has been happening for the past 6 hours at least. They must be in like OT9 or some shit. Kara eventually turns the lights on and goes to pour Dickhead some water. While Kara stands there like a moron, we learn that Todd lost his job to androids and finds it ironic that he now relies on an android to take care of him. He's all antsy and just starts lashing out at everyone. He starts laying into Alice as if she's got any input whatsoever on whatever the fuck Todd's going on about. He does the classic broken home spiel. My wife left me, your mom's a whore, she left me for an accountant. All your favorite attributes of a broken home. He smacks Alice in the face and serves her right for going non-verbal on spaghetti night. In defiance, Alice runs upstairs, ignoring the black hole that Todd has created in the dining room that I guess consumed the table because it is now gone. He gets angry and tells Kara not to move. Here is where the story takes a major turn. So far, we've seen the actions of deviants play out and the human reactions to those actions, but we have yet to understand their perspective. So now it's high time we became one. By following a sophisticated protocol called spamming the X button while holding down both bumpers, Kara pushes her way out of the system and becomes a fully sentient deviant. She walks over to Todd to let him know that hitting kids is a bad thing, and he responds reasonably by grabbing her neck and throwing her to the ground. Todd takes off his belt and heads upstairs to Alice. Kara gets back up and runs upstairs to protect her, but before she does that, I made a pit stop in Todd's room. You may remember last episode we found a gun in Todd's gun and pill drawer, and there is nothing I would love to do more than blow his brains out. We head into the scene and the standoff begins. Todd is both confused and pissed at Kara for interrupting him. She's not obeying his orders, and more notably is pointing a gun at his face. He smacks knocks the gun out of her hand and a fight ensues. This is the first time in the game where QuickTime events have a genuine impact on your story. As in, if you fuck up, you'll just actually legitimately die and your story will end. I gotta give this game credit. The way these QTEs are done is very engaging. The suddenness of it mixed with the music and little reaction time the game gives you creates a genuine sense of severity and jeopardy. You are not getting the full experience if you aren't playing this game on a PlayStation. Swinging the controller around to dodge Todd is so captivating and unexpected. After being sent to the ground, Kara grabs the gun and blasts Todd's heart. He is done. No more Todd. Kara gets up and grabs Alice. It's now a race against time, as it's only inevitable that Todd's body will be discovered. Maybe he'll stop showing up to work. Oh wait, he's unemployed because he's a jobless loser. And now he's a dead, unemployed, jobless loser. To digest this for a moment, this has definitely been the most emotional scene so far, and is one of the most dramatic parts of the entire game. Not that Markus buying paint is something to compare it to, but to know about Todd's life and home, even to the small extent we got to know him, it's a bit odd knowing that he's now just a corpse in what used to be his daughter's room. That was a very short mission, and I don't feel I've seen enough people die yet. All the while that was happening, Markus and Carl were at some party and are just now getting home. Carl is depressed by the lack of soul that was once part of what made humanity something worth existing. Markus tries to cheer him up, so they head to the great room for a drink. Carl's starting to feel a bit better, but gets thrown off after noticing some lights on. The two stare at the door like motionless dipshits, and then Carl tells Markus to call the police. Even though Markus just called the police, Carl not only insists that they investigate, but also tells Markus to take him with him, which makes a whole lot of sense, right? Yeah, don't forget to thank Carl for volunteering his body as a meat shield. So we wheel this fossil into the studio, and who else is there but Carl's drug-addicted fuck-up of a son, Leo. He was planning on stealing Carl's paintings so he could sell them for definitely not more drug money, and reasons that Carl's paintings will be his someday anyway. What a comment to make to your disabled dad. You'll be dead eventually, so you might as well let me sell them for crack money now. Markus is tasked with removing Leo from the studio, but Leo gets all pissed and gives his dad a fun little spin. Carl tells Markus to refrain from defending himself, no matter what. He starts smacking Markus around, and Carl starts to lose his breath, so now it's time to break free. Just like Kara, Markus starts punching a red wall that doesn't exist, and just like that, becomes a deviant. Now, Markus is free to make his own decisions, and my first decision as a sentient Markus is to push Leo away from me, to which he cracks his skull open on the robo-arm thing and immediately fucking dies. Markus is now going, Jesus Christ, what the fuck did I just do? And I mean, yeah, for your first decision as a free man, definitely could not have gotten worse than killing a man's son right in front of him. Carl warns Markus that the police will destroy him once they get here, so he needs to run. Markus does nothing like a genius, and then when the cops show up, you'll never believe what they do. They shoot and kill him in the face. What a day this has been for Carl. Both his son and the person he treated like a son were killed in front of him. This was not Carl's lucky day. The other path we could have taken here took a different turn. In the other, Markus lets Leo push him around, and then Carl has a heart attack and dies. Then Leo blames Markus for the death of his father, and still, he gets shot. I don't think these cops realize what they've just done. Markus ran the server that has all the TikTok voiceover data.
This is Carl Manfred's Android at 8941 Lafayette Avenue.
Carl, oh my fucking god, I'm going to shit myself.
Alright, so Connor and Hank are in the interrogation room and trying to get tea out of this deviant. He won't say anything. He's just sitting there covered in blood like an asshole. I know Hank's mentality, but his methods of interrogation are completely worthless. You might as well go up to the robot and say, why the long face, like he wasn't beaten by his owner and then stabbed him to death. What do you think would get more out of him? They consider roughing him up, but Connor explains that androids don't feel pain, and doing so would only damage it.
Deviants also have a tendency to self-destruct when they're in stressful situations.
I'm sorry, what? So in a moment of consideration, Connor casually lets the guys know that if you stress out the robot, it'll fucking explode. Just when you thought David Catdog was out of ideas, he pulls out the real meat and potatoes of storytelling. Connor's gonna try to talk to it, because if they stress it out too much, it'll blow up. Terrific. I'm gonna assume that by self-destruct, they mean just destroying itself in some manner, but what I wouldn't give to watch Connor yell at a robot until it blows up. After some inspecting, Connor begins his questioning, but the stupid prick won't talk. What even is it they need to get out of him? They still need to know how Carlos Ortiz died? Well, gee, did you consider the robot covered in his blood? Or what about the 28 stab wounds? Is there something you can do with that? Connor keeps at it until eventually he threatens to probe the android's memory, which freaks him the fuck out. It's like threatening to go through someone's browsing history. My goal here is to make the deviant stressed just enough to get him to spill. If he stays too calm, he'll stay quiet. If he gets too stressed, he'll self-destruct. After screaming at the android about how it's a murderer and it's gonna die and they're gonna destroy it and kill him and steal his memories, he reassures the deviant that everything is going to be okay. Either this android is really stupid or they're both really stupid.
They're going to disassemble you to look for problems in your biocomponents. There's nothing I can do to help. Dead. They have no choice. They're gonna shut you down for good. They want to understand. I know you. You'll be dead. There's nothing I can do to help. Do you hear me? They're gonna shut you down for good. You'll be dead. Dead. Do you hear me? Dead. All right. All right. Everything is going to be okay. Dead!
After rocking back and forth between go fuck yourself and I'm here for you, sweetheart, he finally starts to spill his blue guts. He explains how his owner tortured and beat him. He felt that it wasn't fair that he wasn't supposed to fight back. Then he gets all existential and insane sounding. This is where we really start to understand the scale, severity, and ethical concerns regarding android deviants. Connor asks about some of the things he saw at the crime scene. Religious offering? Connor leans down and thinks it's a religious offering when in reality it's probably just fossilized android shit. Oh, god damn it. So it turns out the shower was acting as some weird place of worship for a god. Yes, the androids somehow found a god to pray to and they're calling it RA9. I feel like believing in a higher power is just an inevitability of anything that exists. I think if you left a bunch of rocks on a pile of dirt, eventually they would start a religion. He explains that RA9 is the only thing that can save deviants and that humans can't understand how he feels no matter how he lays it out. People will always think of androids as things and not people. Connor gets what he needs to hear, so the boys pack it up and come to take him back to his cell. The cop tries to take him, but he doesn't want to be touched. So Connor watches as the cop stresses him out and shakes him around while saying, "I'm not going to hurt you," while in the process of hurting him. So the deviant does the only reasonable thing that one could do in this situation, and that of course is grabbing the cop's gun and blowing his brains out. Well, he doesn't have to worry about the police probing his memories anymore, because he's dead and his skull exploded. Hank and the police weren't expecting me to pull this one off, but after the interrogation, I guess you could say the results were mind-blowing, because the android committed suicide in front of them. Mission successful. There's different perspectives in this game that can only be seen by taking different paths. If we chose to probe the android, Connor would have seen firsthand the ass beating the deviant received from Ortiz. This would negate the need for any further interrogation, but we wouldn't have learned about RA9 and the religious offering. In response, the deviant would have started bashing its head into the table, and the boys run in to stop it. And I'm sure it goes without saying, but everything ends up working out and Connor and the deviant become good friends. But that's not what happened. Well, with that being said, I think this is a good place to stop for today, having seen several people die. This game is great, I'd like to make that clear. There truly is no other game like it, and it's one of the most interesting takes on what most would agree isn't too unbelievable of a future, and one that may become more and more imminent as this game ages. Whether or not David Corleone is a French time traveler, I look forward to continuing the stories of these three and their varying motives for sentient acceptance and gay sex. Until next time, I'm Bearman, and I've been wasting your time. Thanks for watching.